So I am just going through the previous portions. There was US hegemony after the period of Cold War, and during this time the whole world thought of limiting the powers of US. Some alternative centers of power came in the form of European Union, ASEAN and China. So European Union was established in the year 1992. Then the US made several efforts to revive the world economy, mainly the European economy, after the Second World War in the form of Marshall Plan of 1948. Then under the Marshall Plan, OEEC was established mainly to provide aid to the West European states. Okay. Then NATO in 1949, it was a security structure, new collective security structure under the initiative of the US. Then Council of Europe in the year 1949, it was the first step towards political cooperation, and it is an organization to protect democracy and human rights. Then next one, European Economic Community of 1957 for the economic integration of European capitalist countries. Then European Union is coming, and it is in the year 1992. So it is a political and economic union of 28 member states of Europe. Now it is 27. Then common foreign and security policy was set up. Then cooperation on justice and home affairs, creation of single currency, then free movement of people. All these were aimed by the European Union. Then in the earlier period it was a economic union, but gradually it became a political union of 27 members. So after 2020, 27 members. Several attempts were made to formulate a constitution, but it became failed. But there is a flag, anthem and founding date, then currency euro. Then listen one thing, this Maastricht, Netherlands, its importance. As a result of the Maastricht Treaty, this European Union came into being. Okay. And its headquarters is Brussels in Belgium. So the headquarters of European Union is Brussels in Belgium. So the European Union, the formation of European Union is the result of the Maastricht Treaty, Netherlands. Then it was in the year 1991. Okay. So as a result of this Maastricht Treaty of 1991, the European Union came into being. Then where is its headquarters? At Brussels in Belgium. So yesterday I explained this about this flag. So it's the symbol of solidarity and harmony between the different peoples of Europe. Then the first member state to leave European Union is UK, and it was on 31st January 2020. So the European Union is expanding its areas of cooperation by adding new members, by acquiring new members even from the former Soviet bloc. Okay. So we were studying about the European Union's economic, political, diplomatic and military influence over the world, the European world. Okay. So, economic influence, the European Union is the second biggest economy and its GDP is of more than $17 trillion and it can pose a threat to the US dollar. Then its share of world trade is larger than the US. Then economic power. As an economic power, it can influence many nations even in Asia and Africa. Okay. So, this European Union is an important bloc in World Trade Organization. Then political and diplomatic influence. So, in European Union, the members of European Union have permanent seats in the United Nations Security Council. Britain, it was a former member of the European Union. So, France, one powerful country in the European Union, has permanent seat in the UN Security Council. And like that, several non-permanent members are also have also seats in the UN Security Council. So, through this membership in the UN Security Council, they can influence the decisions of the UN, and sometimes it can influence the US policies. Not UN, here US policies, such as the US policy on Iran's nuclear program. Then diplomatic and political. So, through its diplomacy, economic investments and negotiations, the European Union has become effective even in its dialogue with China. China, importance of China. China is the only power in the present situation who can stand at par with the US. Okay. So, in its dialogue with China on human rights and environmental degradation. So, military influence. European Union has combined armed forces and it is the second largest in the world. And we discussed about the expenditure. It is the expenditure wise, it is the second after the US. Then earlier times, Britain and France had nuclear arsenals of approximately 550 nuclear warheads. Then second most important source of space and communication technology. So, I explained yesterday up to this. Okay. So, today I am starting with the limits of European Union. So, it has wide powers over different countries in Europe. Okay, it can influence or it can intervene in social, political and economic areas of different countries. But sometimes the member states of European Union, they follow their own foreign relations and defense policies. That means they are not ready to obey the European Union. So, sometimes the member states of European Union have their own foreign relations and defense policies. Their own foreign relations and defense policies. And for example, at the time of Iraq invasion, Britain was a partner of US. At that time, the British Prime Minister Tony Blair was the British Prime Minister and he joined with the US in the Iraq invasion of 2003. Okay. And the European Union members, many of the members of the European Union became part of the coalition of the willing. You already studied about this coalition of the willing during the time of Iraq invasion of 2003. But at the same time, this coalition of the building or the Iraq invasion of 2003 was opposed by Germany and France, two other member states of the European Union. Okay, so even though the European Union has powers to intervene in the social, political and economic areas of different nations, several times there are certain limits for its powers, because the member states follow their own foreign relations and defense policies. And example, Iraq invasion. At the time of Iraq invasion, Britain joined with US and many countries were part of the coalition of the building, but Germany and France opposed this invasion. Then European Union's limits, I am continuing the same. There is Euroscepticism. That means European skepticism about the European Union's integrationist agenda. So, several countries oppose the integrationist policy of European Union. According to these nations, if the European Union follows this integrationist policy, that would affect the sovereignty of each nation. Okay, so integration would undermine national sovereignty. So, Euroscepticism means European Union skepticism. So, it is mainly about the European Union's integrationist agenda. Okay, criticism against the integrationist policy of European Union. So, this integration, according to these nations who oppose European Union's integrationist policy, according to them, this integration would undermine the national sovereignty of the member states. Then example, Margaret Thatcher, former Prime Minister of Britain, kept the UK out of European market. Okay. Then another one, Denmark and Sweden resisted the Maastricht Treaty and adoption of the euro. Euro, the currency used by 19 member states. Okay. So, one limit, this Euroscepticism or European Union skepticism, and it is mainly about the European Union's integrationist agenda. Then the limits, the member states follow its own foreign relations and defense policies. They are not ready to obey the European Union to make relations with other countries. So, these are considered as the limits of European Union. So, the second alternative center of power, ASEAN. Second alternative center of power. Alternative center of power to limit the powers of the US domination. Okay. It was set up in the year 1967. So, countries of Southeast Asia like Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam, all these countries suffered a lot during the time of the Second World War and before the Second World War, because there was colonialism. Okay, repeated colonialism was there in these countries, mainly European colonialism and Japanese colonialism. So, what was the problem of the countries of Southeast Asia? During the time of Second World War and before Second World War, there was repeated colonialism of Europe and Japan in the Southeast Asian countries. Okay, and there was the problem of nation building. after this colonial rule, there were problems of nation building. Then these countries were in severe poverty. Then there was economic backwardness. Then pressure to join either side during the time of the Cold War. They were pressurized to join these power blocks. Okay, so because of colonialism, repeated colonialism of Europe and Japan, these countries, the Southeast Asian countries, suffered a lot, and there was the problem of nation building, then poverty, problem of poverty, then economic backwardness. And besides these problems, these countries were pressurized by the power blocks to join their sides. So, NAM and Bantam Conference. So, you already studied about the non-aligned movement. Okay, under the initiative of Nehru, then Tito, all these you studied in the first chapter. So, several efforts were made for the Asian unity, for the unity of the third world. Okay, third world unity. And as a part of this, Bantam Conference and NAM emerged, but these two were not so effective. The Bantam Conference and non-aligned movement were not so effective to bring about Asian unity or third world unity. So, Bantam Conference was in the year 1955 in Indonesia. So, Bantam Conference in the year, very important, in the year 1955 in Indonesia. So, it was a conference of large scale Asian African conference of newly independent countries. So, Bantam Conference, it was in the year 1955, Indonesia. It was a large scale Asian African conference of newly independent countries. Then non-aligned movement, I am not explaining much about NAM. You already studied 2 pages about this NAM in 1961. Okay, so Bantam Conference and NAM. NAM in 1961, Bantam Conference in 1955. These two couldn't bring Asian unity and third world unity. And it is the ASEAN flag. So, 10 stalks of paddy, that means, and it shows the 10 Southeast Asian countries, and the member countries are bound together in friendship and solidarity, and that circle on the flag shows the unity of ASEAN. Okay, this circle. So, ASEAN flag, 10 stalks of paddy are there, and it shows the representation of 10 Southeast Asian countries, and these member countries are bound together in friendship and solidarity. Then that circle shows the unity of ASEAN. So, at first there were 5 member countries. Okay, 5 member countries, and the ASEAN is the result of Bangkok Declaration. Okay, as a result of this Bangkok Declaration, this ASEAN came into being. So, which countries were the 5 member countries of ASEAN? Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. So, at first there were 5 member states, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. So, the ASEAN was set up in the year 1967, and it is the result of Bangkok Declaration. Then what are the objectives of ASEAN? Objectives of ASEAN: to accelerate economic growth and through that social progress and cultural development. So ASEAN aimed to accelerate economic growth first. First economic growth, then through that economic growth, social progress and cultural development would be achieved. Okay, that was the first objective of ASEAN, to accelerate economic growth and through that economic growth, social progress and cultural development. Then second objective, to promote regional peace and stability based on the rule of law and the principles of UN Charter. So regional regional peace should be promoted. So second objective, to promote regional peace and stability, and it should be based on, this promotion of peace and stability should be based on rule of law. Okay, rule of law and the principles of UN Charter. So very important question, objectives of ASEAN: to accelerate economic growth and through that economic growth achieve social progress and cultural development. Then second objective, to promote regional peace and stability based on the rule of law and the principles of UN Charter. So later 5 other nations joined in this ASEAN: Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Laos, PDR, Myanmar or Burma, Cambodia. Okay, so gradually 5 other nations joined the ASEAN: Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Laos, PDR, Myanmar and Cambodia. So ASEAN Way. ASEAN countries follow ASEAN Way. It can be asked for 1 mark. Okay, this ASEAN Way. So it's a form of interaction that is informal, non-confrontationist and cooperative. So the member states have to follow a policy of cooperation, non-confrontation and informality. Okay, a form of interaction that is informal, non-confrontationist and cooperative. Then respect for national sovereignty was important for ASEAN. Okay, it is not functioning like a supranational institution. So what is supranational institution? International group or union that in which the power or influence of member states transcend. Okay, transcend national boundaries. So it didn't function like a supra-international organization or institution. So respect for national sovereignty, it is very important for the ASEAN member states. ASEAN member states should follow the policy of respect for national sovereignty. Then no desire for supranational structures and institutions. It never wanted to become a supranational institution like European Union. Okay, it didn't function like a supranational structure or institution. So what is ASEAN Way? ASEAN Way is a form of interaction that is informal, non-confrontationist and cooperative. Informal, non-confrontationist and cooperative. Then for the ASEAN members, it is very important to follow the policy of respect for national sovereignty. Then no desire for supranational structures and institutions. So gradually ASEAN broadened its objectives beyond the social and economic spheres. So by 2003, this ASEAN broadened or widened its objectives. Its objectives came beyond the social and economic spheres. So ASEAN agreed to establish an ASEAN community comprising 3 pillars: ASEAN Security Community, ASEAN Economic Community, and ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community. So in the earlier time, the ASEAN never wanted to become a supranational institution. It gave importance to the sovereignty of each member state, and a cooperative, non-confrontationist and informal interaction or communication was promoted by the ASEAN in its early period. But by 2000 or by 2003, the ASEAN broadened its objectives, okay? And these objectives went beyond the social and economic spheres. And it agreed to establish an ASEAN community comprising 3 pillars. So, an ASEAN community, how would be the ASEAN community? ASEAN Security Community, then Economic Community, then Socio-Cultural Community. Okay. So first, ASEAN Security Community. So ASEAN Security Community is based on the declaration: outstanding territorial disputes should not escalate into armed confrontation. Naturally, there would be some territorial disputes or conflicts between member nations, but it should not escalate or it should not rise into the level of an armed confrontation, armed conflict. Okay. So, the territorial disputes should not escalate or rise into the level of armed conflict, armed confrontation. So, ASEAN Security Community is based on the declaration that outstanding territorial disputes should not escalate into armed confrontation. Okay. These territorial disputes should be solved. Never give chance to escalate these into armed conflicts. Then ASEAN Security Community, through different agreements, ASEAN members agreed to uphold peace, neutrality, cooperation, non-interference, and respect for national differences and sovereign rights. So, between the member states, there were several agreements. Agreements were signed between the ASEAN members. And what was the main idea or what was the main theme of these agreements? To uphold peace. Okay, to uphold peace, then neutrality, cooperation, non-interference, then respect for national differences and sovereign rights. Okay, so the territorial disputes should never escalate into the level of armed conflicts. Then second, through different agreements, ASEAN members agreed to uphold several things: peace, neutrality, non-interference, cooperation, then respect for national differences and sovereign rights. Then ASEAN Regional Forum was set up in the year 1994. ASEAN Regional Forum. ASEAN Regional Forum was set up in the year 1994 and coordination of security and foreign policy. So, what was the intention behind this ASEAN Regional Forum of 1994? Coordination of security and foreign policy. Coordination of security and foreign policy. Okay. So, ASEAN Security Community. Why we are studying about ASEAN Security Community? By 2003, ASEAN decided to broaden its objectives and agreed to establish an ASEAN community comprising 3 pillars, and we are studying the first one, ASEAN Security Community. ASEAN Security Community. So, the ASEAN Security Community is based on the declaration outstanding territorial disputes should not escalate into armed confrontation. Then, through different agreements between the ASEAN member states, these countries agreed to uphold peace, neutrality, cooperation, non-interference, and respect for national differences and sovereign rights. Then, ASEAN Regional Forum was set up in the year 1994 and for the coordination, it's for the coordination of security and foreign policy. Then I am moving to the next one, ASEAN Economic Community. So, ASEAN is primarily, it is an economic association, and if we compare with other economies, it's a region. The ASEAN region is smaller, so it has a smaller economy. If we compare this ASEAN economy with the US, European Union, Japan, etc. But one special feature for the ASEAN, its economy is fast growing. So, the ASEAN economy is fast growing, but if we compare this ASEAN economy, ASEAN region, we can see that it's smaller economy. Okay, we are comparing the ASEAN economy with the US, European Union, and Japan. Okay, then it is smaller, but one special feature of ASEAN economy, it's fast growing. Then objectives of ASEAN economic community: to create common market and production base within ASEAN states. So, what is the objective of ASEAN economic community? To create common market, and production base within ASEAN states. Then, to aid social and economic development in the region, to aid social and economic development in the region. Clear? So, ASEAN economic community is a smaller economy, or the ASEAN economy is smaller economy if we compare it with US, European Union and Japan, but it is fast growing, and its objectives: first objective, to create common market and production base within ASEAN states. Then, to aid social and economic development in the region. Okay. Next objective: to improve the existing ASEAN dispute settlement mechanism. Okay, to resolve economic disputes. So, to resolve economic disputes, improve the existing system, existing mechanism, the existing ASEAN dispute settlement mechanism. So third objective, to resolve the economic disputes, improve the existing ASEAN dispute settlement mechanism. Then it has focused on creating free trade area for investment. So ASEAN Economic Community has focused on creating free trade area for investment. Then, for investment, labor and services. Then US and China have negotiated these FTAs or free trade areas. Okay, because it is fast growing. So ASEAN Economic Community's objectives to create common market and production base within ASEAN states, to aid social and economic development in the region. Then third one, to resolve economic disputes, improve the existing ASEAN dispute settlement mechanism. Then the ASEAN has focused on creating free trade area for investment, services and labor. Then who made negotiations here? The US and China have negotiated FTAs. ASEAN, formation of ASEAN in the year 1967. The countries of Southeast Asia like this, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, all these countries suffered a lot at the time of Second World War, mainly because of the repeated colonialism of Europe and Japan. Then during that time there were problems of nation building, then poverty was there, economic backwardness, then pressure from the power blocks to join their sides. Then there were several attempts to bring about Asian unity through NAM and Bantam Conference, but all these were not so successful. Bantam Conference of 1955 and it was a large-scale Asian-African conference of newly independent countries, then NAM in 1961. So these two became unsuccessful to bring about this Asian unity and the third world unity. One thing I left, this headquarters of ASEAN, Jakarta. Jakarta, Indonesia. Okay. So the headquarters of ASEAN, Jakarta, Indonesia. So this flag, ASEAN flag, then 10 stalks of paddy represents the 10 Southeast Asian countries, and these countries are bound together in friendship and solidarity. Then that circle shows the unity of ASEAN. Then 5 member countries were there. So this ASEAN came into being through the Bangkok Declaration. So who were the 5 countries? Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. Then objectives of ASEAN to accelerate economic growth and through that economic growth, social progress and cultural development could be achieved. Then to promote regional peace and stability based on the rule of law and the principles of UN Charter. Later, 5 other countries joined in ASEAN: Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Laos, PDR, Myanmar and Cambodia. Then what is meant by ASEAN Way? It's a form of interaction that is informal, non-confrontationist and cooperative. Then there is a respect for national sovereignty. It's very important to follow the ASEAN members. Then no desire for supranational structures and institutions like the European Union. Then ASEAN later broadened its objectives and these objectives were beyond the social and economic spheres. So by 2003, ASEAN agreed to establish an ASEAN community comprising 3 pillars, and today we covered these two, the security and the economic. So ASEAN Security Community, ASEAN Economic Community, then ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community. Security Community is based on the declaration that outstanding territorial disputes should not escalate into armed confrontation. Then through different agreements, the ASEAN members agreed to uphold peace, non-interference, neutrality, respect for national differences, sovereign rights, etc. Then ASEAN Regional Forum was set up in the year 1994 mainly for the coordination of security and foreign policy. Then ASEAN Economic Community, again it's an economics association. Its region is very smaller if we compare it with US, European Union, Japan, etc. But the main feature, it is fast growing. Then objectives to create common market and production base within ASEAN states. Then to aid social and economic development in the region. To improve the existing ASEAN dispute settlement mechanism to resolve economic disputes. Then FTA has focused on creating FTA or free trade area for investment, labor and services. Then US and China have already negotiated these FTAs. Okay, clear?